So, hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Put a couple things out there for you guys. Make sure you put in your hashtag I am positive thinking. This is for the I am hashtag for today, for today's coaching. Enter to win prizes, content, and services. So that's that. And we have the recommended links for reading and materials to follow along with the coachings and whatnot. So pick up those. Those are your regular reading materials that I always suggest and whatnot. So make sure you pick up your illuminations and your testaments. All right, so let's get this show on the road. So good evening, good morning if you're on the other side of the world. Grand rising and namaste to all. So this is your talk radio host, CICI. And I wanted to let you guys know that this coaching is all about the positive thinking series. It allows us to get into a mindset of being present and being mindful and knowing ourselves, knowing our worth. And I figured the first thing we could do is make sure it's top of the morning, top of the evening for everybody. Have to check down, check in, check up, and let you guys know what the show's all about. And you know what? I'm normally the person who's used to having a very negative attitude in the back times of when life was not going as well. Or even sometimes, I would sit down and I would think about things and I would get so far in my head and I would overthink things. So I had to learn to go from negative to positive self-talk and thinking. So in all that, I learned that most aspects of life, I'm not alone in thinking this way, as most people I have met seem to have constantly, moan about different things or whatnot, or sometimes life gives them too much lemons and they can't make enough lemonade fast enough, So I learned that I don't want to constantly moan about different things, right? But I basically don't want to feel sorry for myself either. And, in this session, I looked at the reasons and the benefits of having a more positive outlook on life. And I figured the best thing we can do is do something on mindfulness, being present. And I've also been doing this series exclusively on the spaces on Twitter. And you guys will really like those as well, because I'm doing pretty good about doing all of those. Also, you'll have them on the Clubhouse and whatnot. And of course, there's certain things that I'm going to have to separate so that I can do the audios correctly until I get my workstation where I want it to be at. We all know what's happened recently. So right now, this is kind of makeshift and we're kind of camping out and making it work, okay? So our key words are being positive, having a positive attitude, removing a negative outlook, positive outlooks, life events, happiness, reducing the stressed feeling. And then on top of that, the levels of family, engaging in a better positive outlook on family and having a positive support. And also positive thinking and coaching, the key word for today. All right. So I want to make sure that we're in a good space, that, the pessimist sees things difficultly and any opportunity, right? But the optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. That's by Winston Churchill. So I figured that would be good for us to understand this. And again, the I am positive thinking is the I am hashtag today's coaching. Enter to win. We've already got 6 entries there. And also, you can win prizes, content, and services. So who doesn't want free services, y'all? So let's keep going in open dialogue and discussion for educational and also growth and coaching purposes, daily illumination purposes, for the soul, and general content creator purposes from your local YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, Bigo, Clubhouse with the power to do more, and Talk Radio Diva in conjunction with Talk Radio Productions. And again, I am CICI, your coach. And this is Talk Radio Diva Productions, a whole level of the power to do more. So you can call in live at 866-727-9323. You may leave a message and whatnot. If you spam my phone lines, you will be getting arrested because of the phone lines recorded. So please don't play on my phone lines. You guys know what time it is. I told you we're doing general housekeeping. So we're going to go over the show etiquette, and then we should be good to go. So we know the house rules. There's going to be no talking, no photographs, including screenshotting, screen recording, and no re-recording or re-uploading my content. No trolling and no level of disrespect will be tolerated. Understand you will be blocked, muted, and reported for repeat offensive behavior, including bot farms, troll farms, and I will have the platform remove you if you are controlling it. I told you guys that people who want clout and things like that need to stop it because you will get arrested because the other agencies are aware of it and they're watching everything you're doing. So let that be a warning to you guys to stop playing with me on the internet. Thank you. Also, some very important hotline numbers and things like that, especially if you're dealing with post-separation abuse or domestic violence or anything like that. I do have the levels of the suicide prevention lifeline and whatnot. That is to help anybody who's feeling that type of way, or if you're dealing with an obnoxious narc of an ex-husband or pending divorce, it can happen. And again, the bot farms, troll farms, I'm going to go ahead and block them out and make sure that they're removed. It's disrespectful, and I know who's doing it. The same people want to get mentioned, but they'll be getting us an arrest warrant here soon, and their content creation days are over. And it's gotten old. And they know exactly what they're doing because they troll every time to find out when I'm online. My ex and his mother are doing it, and they will be getting warrants, so as his brothers, and I'll be having them arrested. And the federal agencies are well aware of it, so I will be seeking to have domestic violence charges put on him, and I will have arrest warrants for his brother as well, and his father, who's been involved in the bot farm troll farms. I'm not going to mention their names because they're irrelevant and nasty and evil and low down. Also, there's other individuals who are involved in the bot farm troll farm, so I want to make sure it's clear who's doing it. And the platforms will be sued for every time they do it on my platform. And they'll be getting $1,000 request for money for every time they do it. So it's going to start costing them money. So that's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and you call that number if you guys ever feel like ending it, whatnot. I don't have suicidal tendencies, ideation, or any of that kind of stuff. Never felt like killing myself. My exes told me to do that, but they can go first, and I'll go right after. Never. It's not nice to say, but they said it to me. Their sister said it to me, and I'll be suing them for all the emotional abuse, torments, and gaslighting and harassment they continue to do. Also, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is right here. It's on your screen. So if anybody's dealing with that or post-separation abuse, that is a hotline to call and let them know. I've called that hotline before, and I've also reported it to local law enforcement and also the FBI, DEA, and the CIA, and I'm going to be having him arrested and have him fired, arrested, and terminated, his brother and his father. And his mother will be getting an arrest warrant. She won't stop, and she's one controlling bot farm, troll farm. I made it clear I don't like her. So that's that for that. And this is not here to talk about my ex. I don't like him. I don't care for him. So he'll be arrested here soon, and his nasty new wife. So all people who've been provoking me, trolling me, and harassing me on multiple platforms will be getting arrested warrants doing it on his behalf. And the obnoxious, wealthy, well-connected, nasty narc that knows my FedEx wife will be getting an arrest warrant as well because I heard about his old nasty games and pranks at my expense. And the other Toronto native will be getting a warrant for his arrest. I made it clear I'm tired of all of them. So that's the slap on the wrist warning. Ow! So that's the house rules. Alrighty. Here is the live show number that you can call into. We'll be starting to open up the phone lines and whatnot. And again, I'm training you guys on how we're going to conduct these lives. We're going to be positive. We're not going to be negative. We're going to have a good old time, and we'll have some good old laughs. And we're also going to make sure that we have a good, appropriate, professional presentations and whatnot. Also, the signal tampering, I'll be taking the actual cable companies to court. I've already had an address about that. And Cox Cable and AT&T will be civilly criminally sued. Also, my other ex will be getting a warrant for his arrest that keeps us up, and he's in Atlanta, Georgia, and he will be getting a federal warrant for his arrest for harassment. I made it clear his backstabbing, provoking, gaslight is going to land him in prison, and I've already sought for a lawyer to sue the brakes off of them because I'm sick of them. So now you guys know what it is. Also, the Russian troll farm needs to be controlled on multiple social media platforms, or I will sue them. I'm not playing about this because they've done it one too many times across multiple platforms, and it needs to stop. And they will be getting over $5,000 requests for every time they mess with my lives. And I meant what I said. And I will see the breaks off my exes and this nasty Toronto native and a Liverpool jerk who keeps up this obnoxious provoke. He knows he's irrelevant to me and I don't like him. So I don't want to keep talking about that. But like I told you, every time they do it, I'm going to address it and make sure you guys understand that I don't like it. And I've told them to quit. And the social media manager has been told. So they can either face the lawsuits or federal inquiries. Because I've already talked to the Inspector General about getting social media gathered together and sued. So I'm not playing about this. So, again, on a positive note, what we have to do is always make sure we stay positive, even when we have agents of saboteur, provocateur. There are several people who hide behind organizations who will be getting criminal indictments. They know who they are. I'm not going to mention their name. I told you they're all irrelevant, nasty, disgusting, provoking, gaslighting, misery, causing misery, toxic people. And they will all be getting arrest warrants here soon. I'll be having them fired for the organization that they hide behind. And then I'll be subsequently suing the organization because they've been told to quit. So now you guys know how I really feel about all of that. All right. So we're staying bulletproof, motivated, and positively thinking. So again, like I said, we're not going to have any disruptive behavior or anything like that. Anything out of context, you will be booted and what's not. So let's get into the levels of positive thinking and where this came from. I want you guys to understand that having a positive attitude changes the narrative, right? And as we feel sorry for ourselves often, we have to look at the ways to not feel sorry for ourselves and say, why not me? You got to be doing something right when someone's playing this type of obnoxious, nasty, saboteur, provocateur game. Which brings me into my review about this song, You Can't Break My Soul by Queen Bee. We Are Not Worthy. That song had me voguing. Oh my God. I was sitting up there last night with the premiere and release of You Can't Break My Soul. And you guys know I'm not a big fan of Bey, but the thing is, I like some of her music. And the little girl that was in my house is her niece, but it's no big deal. One thing about Bey I like is that she came back into her bag ready. She came out stinging like the Queen Bee she is, right? So I went and I listened to the song. I was like, this don't sound like the same, right? I don't know who she listened to, but she must have did this one for the culture because this song was epically the best one for the culture. It is #1 on Apple iTunes and downloadable. You guys go get You Can't Break My Soul. It is on the Renaissance thing that Bey has, as well as I think that she went into her Beyonce bag, not Sasha Fierce bag. I personally think that that lady really totally went into that, oh, I'm going to get down, do what I got to do, and come back swinging. So you hear me? So I will tell you, this lady really, really worked hard on her singing. She is not hollering, screaming over the mic. She really sung her heart out. And she really did a house music EDM anthem for the ages. When I tell you for Pride Month, this is one of those Happy Pride great songs, okay? It is also an anthem to rip the runway. You hear me? When I say that the next New York Fashion Week or Paris Fashion Week or UK Fashion Week or New York Fashion Week or whatnot, that song has got to be on the runway because you can really vogue and have a good time. So I really suggest that song. It's really good. I like it. And you guys know I'm not a huge fan of anybody, but I just want to make sure and let her know we are not worthy. Okay? I'm hoping that this album will kick butt. I hope that it will sell out. Hopefully, she'll have a whole level of doing her tour, and hopefully, Mac will have a line for her with the Beyonce box and everything else, just like they did Aaliyah, and just make it everything and have Blue Ivy and her on the picture and whatnot, and sitting face to face. They look like twins. So when I tell you I want to see Beyonce come back as Beyonce, not just Sasha Fierce, we want to see you sting, lady. Okay? So that's my review about Beyonce's song. So we want to start out positive. I figured I would give her the homage. Okay. And again, that's part of our keywords of being able to have a positive attitude, look at everything in a positive outlook, and give credit where it's due. Okay. So, as I told you guys, we're not alone in our thinking. Most of the people that I seem to meet always think about different things in a negative light. But I've learned how to be around positive-minded people who speak positive things, positive words, and also we have to look at the levels of 10 years ago. I decided I needed to change my outlook. I decided I wanted to change my approach to things. And I will tell you why. I was going through a level of going back to school. Okay, I dropped out. I didn't want to come back to school. I was not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. You know, I was really not happy about wanting to go start back over school. But I wanted to give my daughter a outlook on life that was positive. I didn't want her to see me quit at something that I had originally wanted to do. Now, I like being a student, but I don't like it that much to where I want to be a serial student all the time. But the thing is, I love getting an education. So I went back to school. Okay, I was already going through a bunch of crap. My life was upside down, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, what am I doing? I don't like life right now. I had a negative mindset. So what I decided to do was illuminate, become luminous, and have the growth model mindset and learn how to be more positive instead of negative. I was a positive person prior to my life being flipped upside down. It ain't like your auntie and uncle in Bel Air. You know, at that moment, I was sitting up there thinking to myself, what do you want to do with your life, CICI? Where do you want to go with this? I was like, well, first of all, finish up what you started. So I decided to go back to school. All right. That was an awkward moment. At that given moment, when I sat there in the classroom, I was like, why did I sign up for this? Why? And then at that point, I was like, ooh, I'm okay. And as an autistic student, it's hard. Okay. So I signed up for disability support services. I decided to go through the TRIO program and I learned how to deal with disabilities. Okay. So the main thing is I was always stressed and worried. So about 10 years ago, like I said, I decided that I needed to change my life, change my approach, and I want to be a happy and carefree person. I was fed up with always being stressed and worrying about the future or how things were going to turn out. And as we talked about the other day about, stressing about the future instead of just going with the flow, with our journey and figuring out what our purpose is and just enjoy the process along the way. So trusting the process, right? It's kind of what's also in these illuminations and as well as this testament. So in of all that, I want you guys to understand how important this is. Between this book and this book, I had to get to a place where I wanted to be better, think better, and do better. So in of all that, I got that, and then I got another book, and it was the book of Scientology. So between all of these books and things like that, plus other self-help books, I learned how to sit down and I used to think about things. And I said to myself, what is the power of being positive? How do you become power of positive? Even if you're lacking resources or lacking certain things, right? So I sat there and said to myself, how do you make a SWOT analysis of your life? What do you need? I was like, I need more positivity. I need more emotional support. So when I signed up for the TRIO services and whatnot, that helped me through school. So I did that. Plus, I had a supportive young man that came in my life for a brief moment and encouraged me the whole time through school. Literally, it was there making sure that I was good to go, encouraged me when I felt like dropping out, and that young Navy man really helped me out to get to where I want to be at. Because at that point, I didn't know if I was going to even make it through school, especially coming back after 10 years. So I got in the habit of school. I graduated with my associate's degree. Then I went on to get my bachelor's degree. Now I'm working on the master's and PhD. I was exhausted. But I now have a purpose, right? So I learned that I had to change the approach and my outlook on life. So with a little self-help, confidence, and types of books and things like that, such as the recommended books and services, like I told you guys, I want you guys to understand why it's important. Like these recommended links. I want you guys to understand why it's important to have these things. Because if I hadn't picked up that while I was in school and read it, I would have been in another area of life and been like sucking my thumb, like, ooh, ooh, you know? That's not a pretty sound. So I figured the best thing I could do is get back in the saddle, do the best I can with what I can. So I decided to get into affirmations. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys listen to affirmations for a second so that you can understand what I learned how to do and my techniques of transforming, transcending.
What we intend to do with this cognitive reprogramming track is to allow ourselves to once again tap into being a complete receiver, to know that we are worthy and deserving of all good things, and to open and allow ourselves to feel it. Allow the goodness to come into our world and into our hearts and mind. Much of life we tend to push away, we block, put the umbrella up and not let the blessings come into our lives. There are many reasons why this happens, but
Start writing these things down, you guys.
What we intend to do with this cognitive reprogramming track is to allow ourselves to once again tap into being a complete receiver, to know that we are worthy and deserving of all good things, and to open and allow ourselves to feel it. Allow the goodness to come into our world and into our hearts and mind. Much of life we tend to push away, we block, we put the umbrella up and not let the blessings come into our lives. There are many reasons why this happens, but the story is insignificant. You are a receiver, a beautiful, divine being, here for a magnificent life. So now it's time to believe it.
So I want you guys to hear that to understand what this is all about. In order to transcend and listen to your thoughts, make better decisions, you have to be able to transform. We have to become more abundant and become more affirmed in all of that. So I want you guys to hear this.
Allow these words to become your own. Let them positively impact your vibration and change the frequency you are emitting. Breathe in these affirmations. Imagine you are there already. Feel them inside your body. Let them become a part of your being and allow them to reprogram your mind for success and prosperity. I am bold. I am brave. I am strong. I am courageous. I am self-reliant. I am self-sufficient. I know and understand my purpose. I am intentional. I have purpose and reason for being here. Every day I feel my purpose. Every day I know what I intend for the day. I am disciplined. I am self-assured. I am secure.
I wanted you guys to hear that because all of that helps in I illuminated. I am. It allows us to get into a mindset and a feeling of calming the mind, just as the aim of mindfulness and being present does. It isn't just to relax the body, but to calm the spirit, to bring it back to one. And sometimes this happens so that the aim of mindfulness and being present isn't just through sometimes happening, but a conscious focus of getting that mind, the body, the spirit back at one. And like I said, your mind is like an ocean, occasionally wild and other times calm. So in all of that, sometimes our mind goes through thought to thought without stopping. But sometimes being mindful and being present and practicing all of that allows us to have more of a space to rest in between. It allows us to change our mindset, shift our focus. It allows us by taking a step back from our thoughts, and they can hover above the waves of our mind and our thoughts. You know, that crescendo of when you're sitting down there, it's like sitting at the ocean. And have you ever heard the ocean waves? I want you guys to get an understanding and think about this. You see how those waves are? That's how our thoughts are. You know that has that deep and that crescendo. What you want to do is get to that place where your mind is not constantly going, you know. What you want to be able to do is get to a place of calm. You want a place where you can affirm those I am, I statements. So I want you guys to hear that in the meditation so we can set the tone of the presentation on a positive note. And I want you guys to understand that we all have a life purpose, but having a positive attitude is everything because it sets the tone of how your outcome is going to be. It also sets a level of, like I told you guys the 10 years ago, there was a regular message which came from a level of reading books, literature, and to think more positive and to believe in the ability to succeed in whatever we attempt to do. That's you, me, he, she, we, it, they. So when we think about all of this, it's easy to write and say, but doing is half the battle. That's where our mindfulness, being present, comes from. That is where the reality that it's difficult to implement in practice because until we get a habit change or I statement that I am going to change, I am going to acknowledge I need to change, I want to change. So that's the reason for the I am hashtag for today. I want you guys to understand that we got to get in the habit change and by doing it online and challenging you guys to do so. That right there. So that allows you guys to understand the coaching for today, that we get to the habit every day, whenever I come live and things like that. So, like I said, it's easy to write and say, but until you do it and apply it, it means nothing. So when we think about this, of course, I tried to put in truth. I did not really believe in the whole practice in the beginning because I was like, what the heck is this? Like, you want me to sit there and do yoga? Really? You want me to practice these paradigms of staying calm when my life is chaotic and I'm like, Adrian! You mean this actually works? Really? So at that moment, when I realized that it actually works, I'm like, I like it, Mikey. I really, really like it. So at that moment, I said to myself, this works. Reality bites, but you know what? If I don't sweat the small stuff, I'll be okay. If I don't let the small things get to me, I'll be okay. Ignore it. Ignore all the saboteur, the provocateur. Stay calm and keep calm. Yoga. And meditate and do the best that I can. So, in all of that, I went back and forth with that and believing in the whole practice until I got into the habit of doing so. So, I would like to go into the task of thinking. Thinking I can do this, but would still end up sometimes failing in trying to get into the habit in the beginning. But over a period of time, 6 months' time, I started realizing I kind of like this. I like being in my safe space. I like being in a mentally healthy area. I like relaxing. I like being cool, calm, collected. I like being professional like I was before all this happened. So in those awkward moments, I had to sit down and think to myself, what is my truth? Okay, I'm in school. I'm trying to teach my daughter a lesson that you can go back to school no matter what you go through. You're going to have hardships. Things do happen. All right, bet. So in all of that, I said I cannot fail. I could not understand what was going wrong, so therefore I went back and forth to books to try to learn more. I also looked at my teachers for lessons. I also looked at other people, gurus and people like that that were out there doing their thing and they're tastemakers out here. So I started looking up people. I started buying these self-help books. And I also started investing in my own stuff because, as a life coach, wellness coach, business coach, divorce coach, and brander, I have to, make sure that I have a plethora of things to be able to present to my clients. So while I was building business in school, plus on top of that, trying to get myself on my feet and figure out where I was going with my coaching business, as well as e-commerce course websites, all of which people stole business models, played with me, played with my life, played with my sanity, played with my well-being. It seemed like everything that could happen to sabotage me and make me want to quit, I decided to overcome it. So I did. So there was a new, more important message that I missed the first time around. What I had to do was take a positive outlook of whatever happens to me or around me or the environment, even if it was negative, diabolically abusive, or absolutely manufactured for me to fail. I think most people are pissed off because most of the traps that they set for me to fall in, they fell in themselves. Not my problem. So in of all of this, I had to take a positive outlook no matter what. And even if I was learning from failing, sometimes I fell flat on my face and I was like, you know what? This is not it. There was days where I would sit there and I would just want to pull my hair out because I was so mad. And then there was days where I would sit down, I would write down things. I would sit there and say to myself, you know what? Write this down. See if this works. And then there was days where it was like this.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
It was really like that. And there was many times that I sat down. And I used to sit there and look at everything. And I'd be like, on a Friday, and I was tired. And I would just be like, when something would work out, I would be happy then. I'd be thinking to myself like this. Damn! It finally worked, I was so glad that things were starting to go along. Instead of having to cuss and fuss, I was sitting there thinking to myself, I want things to be better. I want life to be better. I want my positive outlook on life to be better instead of always veering to the negative side. So I went to the dark side and then I went back to the light. Okay. So in all of that, I had to become my biggest cheerleader. I had to learn that everything's going to be okay. I had to crack the whip on myself. I had to get to where I need to be at. I had to start looking at my money, and start figuring out what am I going to do to make my life better. So I had to go into Mortal Kombat and
finish him.
I had to finish life as it was and say it is what it is. Let me finish everybody that's creating causing problems in my life. Let me remove you and let me get a spark team. I figured the best way is to get a spark team, people who can help me do what I need to do and get there from here. So that's where Trio came in. So in of all that, as I was doing homework, typing up my reports, doing all the different things that were required of me, as I continued to walk in my light and do the best I could, there was days where I sat there and said to myself, I don't know if I could do this anymore. I said to myself, just order your steps, guide your tongue, remember your footsteps, and do the best you can. So I started to walking and doing what I had to do. So sometimes you got to cross before you walk. So that's what I did. So I allowed myself to get that time to be able to get into a good place mentally, emotionally, and stay focused. So as I was doing that, to take on a positive outlook, whatever happened to me, when it happened to me, I said to myself, never allow yourself to fail, never allow yourself to get down in the dumps. And as an example of taking a positive approach to whatever happens in life, if something happened in my family or in the past or present, I didn't let that get to me. If things happened in my personal life, professional life, I didn't let that get to me as like it used to. Because there was a time where I realized that I was dealing with a lot of things that were causing saboteur, provocateur. I realized there's a lot of chaos agents. I realized there's a lot of nasty people in this world. I realized there's a lot of disturbing, disgusting, despicable, nasty, narcissistic people. I met some people who faked that they were nice to me in front of my face, but played behind my back. A lot of that had a lot to do with how I shaped myself. Then on top of that, I realized that I recently didn't want anybody else in my life that was going to create and cause all problems. I asked God and put it in God's hands. I said, Lord, my Lord and Savior, I said, take these people out of my life. I don't care by any means, as long as I can live my happy life, professional life, and start over and have a safe life and not have to deal with the diabolical, calculated mess that I have to deal with. Of course, you guys know in real time, I'm dealing with a lot of obnoxiousness and pettiness and abusiveness, but that's not something that I can control. That's something that has to be controlled with law enforcement and also legal intervention and post-separation abuses that are going on. So with all of that, I remember my grandmother passed away. I remember that it was the hardest thing for me when I first was in college, and that's before I dropped out. She was a very honest person, always talked openly to me. And, this is before she got sick. And as a little girl, I grew up learning those lessons from also my mother. So, before my grandmother passed away, I figured out that she's very tired. She no longer wanted to be here at this point. And I said to myself, I don't want to get to that point where I don't want to be here. I would rather wait and be like my grandmother and be of old age and God called her home. So in all that, I want to be able to live my best life. I want to be able to live a positive life. And I want to have a narrative of overcoming and victorious. So all the traps that people set for me to fall in, they fell in themselves. And I was glad of that. I said to myself, CICI, you got to illuminate, you got to do the best you can, you'll be fine. So I was quite shocked at the admission of my family members and other things that I learned and whatnot, with them teaching me how to soldier on and do the best that I can. I learned that, as my grandmother was no longer able to bathe herself and we were doing all these different things for her, there's nothing to look forward to when you get too old and things like that. So you learn that if you treat your family right, they will take care of you. So I always wanted to be able to have a happy life to where when I get of old age, that somebody wouldn't mind taking care of me, would love on my soul, and allow me to transition to the afterlife. And of all of that, the beauty of helping with my grandmother, the beauty of going back to school, and the beauty of going back after 10 years is that I matured a lot. I had to have more of a positive outlook. I put myself through college because in the beginning, my mother put me through college, and I thank her for that. But I should have taken full advantage of that and allowed my mom to put me through school. But me putting myself through school allowed me to become more strong, more wiser, and more capable of understanding how important it was to have a mom, somebody that was willing to help me have an education, somebody that was encouraging me even when I failed sometimes. But the thing is, when I had to do it myself in that last section of getting my associate's degree, and I remember I had to take algebra over again, but I took the harder math and I paced it. And I was like, how does that happen? So I realized I think backwards. So with my disabilities, the harder math was easier, and the less harder math was the harder one. But once I mastered the harder math, which was easier for me, I was able to go back and do the easier math. So of course I'm backwards, so I'll get out. But in all of that, I realized that I am different. I accept myself, I love myself, I live myself, and I do everything I can to be I am somebody, even I am asking. So even at that, being Asperger's syndrome has been a little bit of a feat, because at first I had to accept that I am Asperger's. I had to accept that I do have disabilities. And I had to understand that I am quirky. I can't help it. But that's part of my charm. And of all that, I was quite shocked that a lot of the times we don't appreciate life until we're at the end of life. I don't want to be like that. I want to be positive, be mindful that even though my situation is god awful, my environment's toxic, I am starting to sleep better even in the worst conditions because I realize that life is what you make it. I realize I still have a roof over my head, although I can see clear to the ceiling. But at least I'm able to have a roof over my head. Somebody's sleeping harder, somebody's sleeping homeless, somebody's having to sleep in a car. So I had to say to myself, I'm pretty darn lucky, even though it's an obnoxious, horrible situation. But the thing is, being positive is part of it. So in of all that, it was quite upsetting for me, and of course with the honesty with my parents and also with my grandparent is I learned that you live and you die. You have to learn how to live before you die. You have to learn how to appreciate life. And the night that I decided to drive, I was 19 years old. I got my license and I decided that I wanted to drive. I came back home, I was so proud of myself. And it was like right around that same time my grandmother passed away that week. And what was so amazing, it was like a beautiful and a hurtful moment at that time because I was losing a person that was so amazing to me. But at the same token, I got my wings to drive and learn how to do something by myself. And that independence, I would never want it taken away from me. I never wanted to not have my independence ever again. I wanted to be out there and go and enjoy myself and be on the road and do my thing. It's always been free as a jaybird. With that being said, I had to get to a place where I continue to not get upset about the loss of my grandmother. I went to job training. I also got certifications, came back prepared. I went back to school. I ended up pregnant. I had my daughter. She's almost 18. So with that being said, I looked up at everything and I gave myself a smile. I said to myself, I love myself. I said to myself, I love my grandmother. I want to be independent. I always want to have my own. And I always wanted to be able to be a woman of independent means. So when I went back to college, I showed my daughter, you can do this no matter what. Even if you ever have a disability, you can do this. Don't quit. So I always kept the team, never quit mindset. I thought positive about the whole event and was actually happy when I graduated. Although my situation was quite adversities and obstacles and hardships, I learned being mindful and being present is what helped me. So having a positive attitude, it brings many rewards. And I wanted to show you an example of that by telling you guys that story. So I want to make sure that we understand that we have to take positive steps in mindfulness and being present and discover the purpose of our life. We have to understand all of that. And if your life is not as passionate as you would like it to be, but if you lack the zest and energy for living, make sure that you find a way to live. And because of the lack of underlying principle, we have to understand that mindfulness and being present is one of life's way of saying you got to organize and SWOT analysis your life or SWOT analysis your life. And the process of discovering an underlying principle may be most powerful in all of the things that you do for yourself, and because it will give your life a direction and a purpose. And it will also provide you with clarity and focus and awaken the unbelievable forces hidden somewhere deep inside of you. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure that we close everything out with a level of understanding. When we don't learn that our purpose is that we can be just like a cracked pot, like we talked about the other day, in that cracked pot, we have to realize that cracked pot was building flowers because there were seeds planted along the way. So as we talk about this, we have to realize that we are all that cracked pot. We are all those people who have scars. We are all those people who are that teapot. Sometimes if you drop a teapot, you got to fix it, right? Back in the day, it used to be fixed with gold before they had bonding gold. So in of all that, that cracked pot still had its value because it was fixed. But there's always a little crack in it. That shows us that we're authentically, perfectly imperfect. But we have to begin to remind ourselves that we're supposed to shine. We are all a perfect imperfection, whether we believe it or not. But we have to understand the underlying principle is one's life should be organized, SWOT analysis, and look at your strengths and your weaknesses, and sometimes look at your weaknesses as your strengths, hone in on them, become better, become mindful, become more purposeful, and you will find your opus, you will find your purpose, and you will find that life is worth living, and it will give you the energy that you need to become relaxed, poised, and capable of doing anything that you set your mind to. So you have to begin to listen to your thoughts and making better decisions. We'll talk about that tomorrow as we talk about positive steps to discover our life purpose. So with that being said, this is our positive thinking for today. We're going to listen to some affirmations, and then we're done with the show. We're going to start closing out. I told you we're going to keep this under a level of a whole hour. And if we ever open up phone lines anymore, like we have been doing, you guys are welcome to call in. I'll start taking calls, and I'll tell you when to take calls. That way you guys can be in line, and we can have that conversation. I just want to make sure that everything's done in a level appropriate manner. I'm getting my feet back wet about getting back on here. And like I said, I'm sticking to the script. Want to make sure everything's good and we have good shows. So let's go ahead and get some affirmations in there, and then we're done. I just want
Welcome to I Am Affirmations for Health, Wealth, Happiness, and Abundance. 21 days to a new you. We create our own reality. As Buddha once said, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Speak or act with an impure mind and trouble will follow, as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart. Let's begin. I am strength. I am energetic. I am powerful. I am open to receive. I am abundant. I am blessed. I am wealthy. I am rich. I am successful. I believe in myself. I am motivated. I am dedicated. I am confident. I am fearless. I am taking action today. I am powerful. I am persistent. I am strong. I am balanced. I am positive. I am peaceful. I am freedom. I am open. I am wise. I am relaxed. I am calm. I am at one. I am in command of my life. I am loving my life. I am connected to all that is. I am in the moment. I am right here, right now. I am fully present. I am taking bold steps. I am moving forward with confidence. I am achieving. I am motivated. I am driven. I am successful.
So I want you guys to hear all of that so we can close down the show on a positive note. I figured this would be the best area so we understand why you have to listen to your thoughts and why we have to make better decisions. Because in all of that, we're going to talk about positive thinking in a higher level in portion 2. So I want you guys to understand how important it is to keep this clear cut and concise. So we have to learn about I statements. So I am, I can, I am positive thinking. So enter to win in the hashtag giveaway, and I will draw your name and I will announce the winners. That will be at the end of the week. And like I told you guys, enter to win. If you're coming on the comment stream, please do not cuss in my chat. Please do not put obnoxious nastiness in my chat. Please do not bot farm, troll farm, or I will have you arrested and I will have your IP address traced and I will have you kicked off of social media. I'm not playing. So I'm glad to have seen you guys tonight. I hope you guys liked the show. I hope you guys learned your I statements. I hope you guys wrote a couple of things down, whatever's going to work for you. And I'm hoping you guys feel more abundant, unified, advanced. And I hope we get to a good place, that we have some good shows. We'll be getting back into daily illuminations for the soul. And we will also be doing a level of reading out of the illuminations and regularly doing some teachings on that too. So, like I said, I'm getting my feet back wet, getting back out there and doing my thing. So, thank you so much for those of you who have attended the live, and take care.